Today I'm going to be making a card for my friend's daughter who is going to be 11. So I'm going to start with some stencils. I've picked out a few from my stash. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them all. And I've picked out these distress oxides because these are some of my favourite colours and they're really bright. So we've got picked raspberry, salty ocean and cracked pistachio. The next stencil I've picked is a studio light. The design is by Miranda Vanderbosch, Rainbow Designs, and this is a mask MB06, and I'm going to use this pattern here, and I'm going to use the same ink colours as well. Now I've stenciled my border and I am happy with that. I'm going to use some stamps. My first stamp comes from Creative Stamping Magazine, the freebie set that was called Hello Gorgeous, and I am going to use Gorgeous Girl. Now those 4 words have come together, so I just need to cut those up. As always, I'm going to use my press to impress, and I've cut the stamp, so I've separated it. I'm just going to trim it down a bit actually. I'm using my Versamark watermark stamp pad. So this is a clear stamp pad. As always, I have my pages from a catalogue so that my embossing powder will slip off easily back into the pot. I'm using Lilac Heat It Up embossing powder. Now that has become slightly lost in there. I think for 2 reasons. 1, because of the colour, and 2, because the stamp was quite squishy, so it squished out. It didn't really need to be pressed as hard. But I have a plan. That time it has come out better because, again, I didn't press as hard on the stamp, so it's a lot clearer. But what I'm going to do is add a black one into the middle. This time I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black, and don't do that because that will just get all over the card. I'm not a fan of these flip lids. I actually prefer the lid to come right off. I don't know why, but I just find it easier to handle that way. And this bit, I think you're supposed to keep it in there, which I do, but it annoys me because, again, I'm always thinking I'm going to get black on the card. I've gone around that in the Millennium Zig Pen 005, so you can actually see it. It's not coming out. There we go. So it doesn't look quite so bad now, I don't think. I think in an effort to use up my stash, that is why I decided to go with the purple or the lilac embossing powder. I actually think probably that it's better to go with a coloured ink pad and then a clear embossing powder. Just that does seem to work better, I think. Although this is quite an old embossing powder, so maybe newer ones are better. But anyway, there we go, trial and error. My second stamp set I'm going to go with is another one from Creative Stamping magazine, and it's this music and dance collection. And I'm going to use this stamp here first of all. I've heat embossed that. Now I always heat from the reverse, so that's why it's off camera, because it's really hard to get the heat on the card and me under the camera. The next stamp set I've chosen to use is again another Creative Stamping magazine freebie, and this is called Timeless Moments. I'm going to use the numbers. The next stamp set I'm going with is the music and dance one again, and I'm using the drum set this time. from the same set, I am, sorry, the camera's on there, there we go. I'm using the happy birthday stamp. Actually shows you on the card with the stamps that will fit in there, so I've taken that as my inspiration. Right, that's that, and I want this to obviously look like it's standing on something, because at the moment, sorry, the heat from the heat embossing has just warped the card slightly, but it'll flatten out. Yeah, so I thought I would take that same stencil that I did this with, but use a different colour. I'm going to use the iced spruce distress oxide this time. So I've just lined this stencil up just underneath the instruments there, but what I do need to do is put some paper over there, because obviously I don't want to be stenciling through here on top of my instrument or my drum set. Yep, that is fine. I'm going back in with the VersaFine and another stamp from the Music and Dance collection. I'm going to colour the number in using the shaded lilac from the Distress markers. So I just scribble a bit on my heat resistant mat, and just in case I need any spare water. In fact, I will give that a tiny spritz. And I am using a paintbrush, one of the ones that you can put the water in, but it's just run out, so I just like to spray some and do it this way because it's easier. I'm going in with spun sugar from the Distress markers. I'm going in with the same colours that I've used on with the Distress oxides through the stencil. I'm just going to scribble them out onto the mat as before, just make sure I haven't got any old colour there, and just add some highlights. happy with that. I've just added a touch of the colours to the drum kit just to bring out some highlights. And the only other thing I want to do is add her name to it, because she has quite an unusual name, so I want to personalise it. And even though I have written her name loads of times before, I've written it down on a piece of paper just so I don't spell it wrong. And it's finished. I've added Talia's name in black under the drum kit, but I've also added it around the card in the same colours that I've used in the distress inks or oxides. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I would love you to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, and of course I'd love you to subscribe if you don't already. Until next time, cheerio.